A really impactful project that I'd worked on many years ago was for a large telco. Now, this telco was based out in Asia, and what they would do is they would monetize their customer data. And the way they would do that is they would sell or they would text message people for advertisers. So an advertiser might say, anyone who's within 100 meters of a McDonald's or a KFC, can you send them a text message? And so they would send anyone who traveled within 100 meters or 10 meters or whatever, however close they could get, a text message saying, go to KFC, get a free whatever, or 20% off or something like that. And so that's what they did. They would mass sort of SMS people, text people when they were geolocated, or they might text people on other sort of transactional metrics. Now, one of the things they lacked was socio-demographic information for those customers. Now, one of the reasons they did lack that is because a lot of customers out in Asia, and this is many years ago, what we call prepay or top up, or pay as you go. So what they would do, they just buy a SIM, top up, buy bundles and packages, and then just keep topping up. And then if they didn't, then it would just the SIM would just expire. So they didn't have any need to give any personal information, any socio-demographic information. Now, the telco realized that if they had socio-demographic information, it would be hugely valuable to them. And one of the reasons it would be hugely valuable is that they can then go to advertisers and say, we can target a specific demographic near McDonald's or a specific demographic near a retailer or near a petrol station, and it would have much more impact. So therefore they can actually target people, therefore SMS or text fewer people and get a similar or even a higher conversion rate. So they then came to us. So this telco came to us and proposed this problem and said, how would we solve it? So I'd done a lot of this because I'd worked with a lot of organizations that had anonymized user data, and they needed to apply demographic information to it. Now, the only way to actually apply demographic information is to ask people. You can observe them, but you could be hit and miss. You might get gender correctly, age, you won't be so close at age, so you've got to ask them. That's one of the easiest ways you can get demographic information. The other is if there is actually a third-party data source that you can merge and append. Now, this telco didn't have that. All they had was the mobile number, and that mobile number they couldn't connect to anything else. So, for example, in Europe, we can connect to other data sources where we can append other information like Experian, Epsilon, and we can start appending information to our own data sets. Out in Asia, they didn't have that. And so they were basically saying, we have no data to append to this in order to understand demographics. So the only way to do it was to ask people their socio-demographic information. This telco was huge and their operation was huge. So we basically got the customer service team to ask around 30,000 people their socio-demographic information. And we chose these 30,000 people based on a random sample of mixed use of their products. So, people who were high users, mid users, low users, people who topped up a lot, people who topped up less, people who bought very high value packages, people who bought low value packages, all those kind of stuff. So we got a representative sample, and roughly it came to about 30,000 people. So they actually called up. They had a huge customer service team. They called up, and over a couple of months, or maybe more than that actually, they called up 30,000 people and asked them for, I believe, age, gender, marital status, and education. So those four and also if they had kids. So I think for those 4 or 5 things, they asked those people for. So it's a very short questionnaire, so it didn't take up too much of people's time, and therefore they could get through a lot of people and get to 30,000. Then for those 30,000 people, what we then did is got their actual usage data. So how much they recharged or topped up, how many texts they sent, how many calls they made, who they made calls to, was it loads of people, narrow set of people, how much data they used. I think we had some indication of what websites they browsed, but not a lot. So we had that information, and what we did is we then modeled it on the actual socio-demographic information. So we started seeing if we could use the usage data to predict the socio-demographic information. So obviously we did our usual test and control our main data set that we built the model on, and then a test one to make sure that the model held in the test group. So anyway, we did a lot of iterations, and we mainly used supervised machine learning for this, and eventually came up with some very good models, which were around 80 to 85% accurate for each of those: age, gender, marital status, education, and if they had kids or not. So once we built the model, we then obviously did the test, and again, the model came back between 85% accurate. And therefore what we then did was we modeled it on, they had over 100 million plus customers, and we weren't going to be able to model it on all 100 million plus customers, but we modeled it on roughly about another 100,000 customers. So we got 100,000 customers who we didn't have any socio-demographic information for, and we modeled it on that group of people. Now what happened was, when the telco went out to sell that audience, that group of people, that 100,000 people, they were able to sell them through demographically. And what they found was that when they offered demographic information on top of the mobile phone number they had, so if they said something like, we can target males between 25 and 35 who are close to a McDonald's or to a particular retailer, advertisers are willing to pay more. And in fact, one of the information they told us is that for some of the demographics, advertisers were willing to pay more than twice what they paid for a mobile number that had no demographic information attached to it. As you can see, just this lookalike modeling could potentially, when they deployed it across all of their 100 million plus subscribers, could result in almost doubling of their ad revenue. And one of the reasons this was quite an exciting project and quite impactful is that actually, you could see the direct benefit. Advertisers were literally willing to pay more than double per text message to be able to target someone through demographics. So if you want to know how to create lookalike models or how to append data to your first-party data sets where you may not have enough rich features, and you want to enrich it with other data sets, or you want to collect the data yourself, then get in touch. You can go to the website bdatasolutions.com, or you can drop me an email shortful@bdatasolutions, or if you like, just drop me a comment and I'll respond to you there.